this 3-time Super Bowl champion and this Hall of Famer who emphatically stated to me over the phone how innocent he is of these allegations that have been levied against him, insisting repeatedly that anything you read, anything you see, anything you hear was fully and totally consensual. In the same breath, what's inescapable is that without us knowing all the merits, he was working with Disney, where I've worked since 2003.
You don't see me excoriating him. You ain't gonna see me disrespecting him. You're not gonna see me stripping him of my support. I can tell you what I think you right and you wrong.
Even he didn't stand with Shannon Sharpe like he stood with Jay-Z. When he heard about Jay-Z, he said, the guy I know, this is not true. When it came to Shannon, he was like, I wasn't there.
So Shannon Sharpe just ghosted Stephen A. Smith. Straight up cold cutoff. No texts, no calls, nothing. And all because Stephen couldn't keep quiet about Shannon's legal drama. The moment that lawsuit hit the blogs, Stephen didn't even try to act slick. He jumped right in with shady little jabs, dropping comments that made it seem like Shannon was already packing his bags at ESPN, even though nothing had been confirmed.
Around thinking you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You could your own operation. You don't have to answer to anybody. That's not true. I've had people open their mouth and they've said, Stephen A., you work for ESPN. What kind of control do you really have? This is my podcast. This is my YouTube show. I own this. But if you think for 1 second that I could just do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and there's not going to be any repercussions, you're clueless. And you're destined to fail and fall on your face.
It didn't take long for people to clock what was going on. Viewers started side-eyeing Stephen like, why are you talking like Shannon's done for? It was messy. But here's where it gets wild. Just a few days later, Stephen A. flipped the script completely, suddenly saying, I believe Shannon is innocent. Huh? That turnaround had fans calling Cap real quick. The switch-up was way too fast and came off hella fake. And Shannon? He's not buying it for a second. Sources say he's done. Like, Stephen's name ain't even showing up in his contacts anymore. It's like he never existed. And get this, even rapper Mace is chiming in now. He called Stephen A. a straight-up snake, accusing him of only defending Shannon now because the heat's coming for him. People are saying Stephen's just trying to save face after realizing the backlash was headed his way. So what's really going on here? Is this the end of the ESPN duo? Did Stephen flip on Shannon just to cover himself when things got ugly? This beef's getting loud and messy. It's done. Shannon Sharpe didn't just cool things off with Stephen A. Smith on camera. Behind the scenes, he cut ties for real. And it's way deeper than anyone thought.
We all have friends that found themselves in various predicaments throughout our life. And you can look at somebody and even if you take issue with their choices and what they've done, you can still sit up there and look at them and say they're a friend.
Insiders close to the situation say Shannon feels flat out betrayed after Stephen flipped sides during that messy lawsuit drama. You've probably seen it by now. Shannon's being sued by an OnlyFans model he was briefly linked to when she was 19. The story exploded, and instead of holding it down for his longtime co-host, Stephen started acting slick. He threw out shady comments, making it seem like ESPN and Disney were ready to drop Shannon before any official news even came out. And then, boom, Stephen does a whole 180, trying to come off like he's Team Shannon now. Nah. Shannon's people are saying this fake switch-up was the final straw. But it doesn't stop there. Sources say Shannon's been side-eyeing Stephen for a while now. Word is, he felt like Stephen was secretly jealous, especially after Club Shay Shay blew up. That Cat Williams interview? Massive numbers. Shannon's name was trending everywhere. And once that happened, people noticed Stephen's energy started to shift, like something wasn't sitting right. Now that the spotlight's hitting Stephen for his shady moves, he's suddenly playing nice? Please. Shannon's not buying it for a second. Word is, he's ignoring every call from Steven, and folks in his circle are saying this isn't just a break. It's a full-on cutoff. He's done. No more bro talk. No more private calls. It's done for real now. Let's run it back. When the scandal around Shannon first hit the blogs, Stephen A. wasted no time dragging it onto his show. He claimed he felt bad for Shannon, but the way he said it sounded like he already counted Shannon out, like his career was dead before anything was confirmed. And Stephen didn't stop there. As soon as the news leaked that Shannon was stepping away from ESPN, Stephen jumped right back on air and brought it up again, warning everybody that Disney doesn't play about their image. He said once they see you as a liability, you're done. Period. That alone was wild. But then came the disrespect. Stephen started clowning Shannon for being too old to be out here acting reckless, like he was out of control and too full of himself. And instead of lifting up his so-called co-host, he flipped the whole moment into a promo for himself, bragging about how he would never end up in that kind of mess. That was the moment it went from shade to sabotage, and it didn't go unnoticed. Fans lit up the internet and celebrities jumped in too. Mace? He called Stephen out on the spot, said he was fake for throwing Shannon under the bus while smiling on TV like nothing happened.
The interview with Stephen A. when he was speaking of it, and I was watching it very carefully, Killer.
Stephen A. said something about this already?
Yeah, because Stephen A., he didn't stand with Shannon Sharpe like he stood with Jay-Z. When he heard about Jay-Z, he said, the guy I know, this is not true. When it came to Shannon, he was like, I wasn't there.
Yo,
But here's the part that's got people really scratching their heads. Out of nowhere, Stephen A. suddenly flipped the narrative. Now he's out here defending Shannon, saying, I believe he's innocent. What? Fans weren't buying it. Not one bit. They called him out for switching up and even brought receipts, reminding folks how fast Stephen jumped to defend Jay-Z when those serious accusations linked to one of Diddy's accusers dropped. He was quick to protect Jay's name. But when it came to Shannon, he tossed him out like yesterday's news. The double standard is loud and people are watching. But when it came to Shannon, that same energy Stephen A. had for defending others, gone, vanished. Sure, the situations were different, but people still felt the way Stephen handled it was straight up shady. Even Mace didn't hold back. On his podcast, he dragged Stephen for it, pointing out how Shannon didn't know all the details when he backed Jay-Z, but still stood by him without hesitation. So why couldn't Stephen do that for Shannon, a man he worked with, called a friend? That's the part that had people heated. And then, just like clockwork, after Mace's comments went viral, Stephen A. switched up again. Now he's out here trying to act like he's been ride or die for Shannon all along. He popped up on Big Boy's show, suddenly talking about how it feels like Shannon's being set up and hinting that folks have been jealous of Shannon's glow-up ever since that Club Shay Shay interview with Cat Williams broke the internet. But fans aren't falling for the act. They're calling Stephen out for showing up late to the loyalty party. A lecture on loyalty from Stephen A.? Please. The internet's dragging him, calling him the biggest flip-flopper in this whole situation. And now it's looking like he's only capping for Shannon to clean up the mess Mace exposed. Let's keep it real. Stephen was the first one to drop a full-on video about Shannon's drama before Shannon even said a word about leaving ESPN. That move had fans instantly suspicious. One even posted, Stephen's halfway in, halfway out. You don't know what side he's playing. And at this point, it's clear. People are watching Stephen's every move, and they're not letting anything slide. Stephen A.'s loyalty game, it's got folks talking, and not in a good way.
down tonight.
The whole thing with Shannon Sharpe is actually crazy because how are you even entertaining the conversation after put a big black baby in me? Put a big black baby in me? It's honestly giving that you just have like some sort of racist fetish. Like, you know how when people get with different races and they just play, you know, slave and owner. That's what it's giving when I was reading those text messages. Because what you mean 25,000 a cheat?
When it came to Jay-Z, Stephen didn't blink. He was loud, firm, and ready to go to war in his defense. But when Shannon Sharpe got hit with that lawsuit, suddenly Stephen's playing both sides, backpedaling like he's on skates. That passionate energy he had before, gone, and fans are not letting him slide. One viewer dropped a comment saying, Steven was fierce for Jay-Z, but with Shannon, it's like he already knows he's getting fired. That struck a nerve, and honestly, it's hard to ignore. The contrast is wild, and people are calling it out left and right. But here's the real twist. Fans are starting to say Shannon doesn't even need Steven's weak defense. Even if the lawsuit ends up being shaky or exaggerated, the public damage is already locked in. The court of public opinion? Brutal. And right now, Shannon's image is taking hit after hit. Let's be real, Shannon's a 54-year-old man, and this whole thing started with him being tied to a 19-year-old model. Add in the claims about alleged role play that had folks raising eyebrows, it's a bad look, no matter how you spin it. And just when you thought the drama might cool down, it explodes again. New voices are stepping up, and it's not looking good. Reports from the U.S. Sun say Shannon's ex, Michelle Evans, just filed her own lawsuit. And this one? It's bringing back claims from way before all this OnlyFans mess even started. Now, people are wondering, was this just one messy situation? Or is there a deeper pattern starting to unfold? Things are getting darker, and fast. Michelle Evans says her history with Shannon Sharpe goes way back, nearly a decade-long relationship that took a dark turn in 2010. According to her, it all started unraveling after she confronted him about cheating. That's when she claims things escalated fast, into something violent and deeply violating. In the lawsuit she filed in late 2023, Michelle accuses Shannon of threatening her and trying to keep her quiet through fear. One moment she described has people shook. She says she was physically overpowered and forced into something she never agreed to. In her words, she was scared, completely confused, and didn't feel safe enough to speak up until now. She claims she froze, afraid that resisting would only make things worse. In the court docs, Michelle says Shannon's behavior became more aggressive. She says he pushed her onto the bed and forced a non-consensual act, all while allegedly saying chilling things like, "I'll make sure no other man ever wants you." Those words alone have left people stunned. But it doesn't end there. Michelle says after the incident, Shannon threatened her again, this time warning her to stay silent. According to her, he said he had powerful connections and wouldn't hesitate to use them to ruin her if she ever went public. That was the moment Michelle decided to act. She went for legal protection and filed for a restraining order, back when Shannon was still working with CBS Sports. Now that her story is out, it's not just one claim anymore. It's part of a bigger storm that's forming around Shannon, and it's only getting louder. In her filing, Michelle Evans painted a chilling picture. She says Shannon wouldn't stop calling her with threats, keeping tabs on her every move, and flat out telling her he was watching her. The whole thing sounded like something out of a psychological thriller, but many people say it never got the spotlight it truly deserved. After those disturbing claims and a restraining order surfaced back in 2010, Shannon quietly stepped away from his CBS Sports role. But here's what's wild. There was no real fallout, no media frenzy. The headlines moved on, and instead of facing public accountability, Shannon's career only went up from there. It was like the whole situation just vanished. Now fast forward to today, and Michelle's back, this time with a defamation lawsuit. She claims Shannon reopened old wounds by talking about their past legal drama on air and in public. According to her, that caused serious emotional distress and damaged her reputation all over again. But it doesn't stop there. Michelle's also standing in support of Gabriella Zinga, the OnlyFans model who's suing Shannon right now. And what she's revealing? It's got fans heated. Michelle says Shannon deliberately exposed Gabriella's identity, making her a target. She told the U.S. Sun, "I want people to understand what Shannon did to this woman, by doxing her, by putting out her name, by putting out her OnlyFans account. That was horrifying, because now things are going to happen to her because of that." That statement hit hard, and it shifted the tone online fast. Suddenly, sympathy for Shannon is drying up quick. Fans are connecting the dots and saying this isn't just one messy situation, it's starting to look like a pattern. Now, even folks from the sports world are chiming in, and the noise around these allegations? It's getting louder by the day. Former NFL player and ESPN analyst Ryan Clark didn't hold back. He said Shannon's alleged behavior isn't even surprising. According to him, it lines up perfectly with the loud, bold persona Shannon's been selling for years. And then Charleston White came in swinging, adding fuel to the fire with one blunt line. Folks need to quit acting like Shannon got set up, because he set himself up by getting involved with someone young enough to be his granddaughter. That comment blew up online. People were split, but the internet definitely lit up, and now the floodgates have opened. More receipts are popping up, stories from behind the scenes, and fans are starting to say this lawsuit isn't some random scandal. It's just the latest puzzle piece in something way darker. One clip in particular is making serious waves. It's from the April 30th episode of Nightcap, where Shannon was on with Chad Ochocinco Johnson and guest Joe Johnson. They were breaking down the 2025 NFL Draft. Everything seemed normal at first, until it didn't. Mid-convo, Shannon suddenly snapped, looked off camera and shouted, "Shut the F up!" Loud, unfiltered, and completely unexpected. The whole room went silent, and the clip exploded online. Viewers didn't miss a beat. They jumped on it immediately, saying the outburst gave more weight to the growing chatter about Shannon's emotional control, or lack of it. Some even said it looked like he was on edge, like something deeper's been bubbling for a while. Now, with lawsuits, exes speaking out, and viral meltdowns stacking up, fans are watching closely, and it's starting to feel like Shannon's whole public image might be on the verge of crumbling, for real. At this point, barely anyone's riding for Shannon anymore. The sympathy? Gone. People are saying he made his bed, and now he's got to lay in it. But here's the twist. Stephen A. Smith isn't exactly making things better. In fact, fans are dragging him just as hard. He's getting called out for being a straight-up flip-flopper, and some even think he's low-key enjoying the mess. Instead of staying quiet or reaching out behind the scenes, Stephen keeps putting it all out there on air, locking the spotlight on Shannon like it's just another hot take segment. Some fans are saying, if Stephen really cared, why is he talking about it nonstop? Why not just move on and show real support? But nah. Stephen hopped on air and talked for nearly 30 minutes about how Disney and ESPN don't play when it comes to this type of controversy. It rubbed people the wrong way. One viewer didn't hold back. Stephen A. is the type to run to the boss and snitch that you showed up late, just to steal your spot. Snake behavior. And another added, if he really wanted to help Shannon, he'd just shut up. All this talking ain't helping. It's making it worse. So now we want to hear your take. Was Mace right all along? Is Stephen A. out here showing fake love and double standards just to save his own image? Or is he just caught in the middle of a mess he helped create? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everything. And if you're living for the drama, the facts, and all the receipts, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Smash that bell so you never miss a drop. We've got way more heat coming real soon. See you on the next one.